Hello, guys. Welcome back to another exciting episode on Pious Football. It's been a long 2 weeks break, international break. So, Pious Football had to take a bit of a sit back to kind of relax and refuel. We are back this time around. It's going to be daily updates, so you can expect to have notifications on your phones. Alerting you of updates from Pious Football. I intend to do an update every day to bring you the latest in transfer news, also discussing tactical analysis of games and pertinent issues around football in general that you don't hear on mainstream European media. Now, let me just start because I have a lot of stories today, some of them coming from stuff that happened on the international duty of nations across the globe. My first story today starts at the camp of Manchester United. United took their photo shoot just after the international break. As players reported from assignments from their national duties. And the news coming in from Old Trafford is that Jadon Sancho has been excluded from taking the club team photo for the season. It's actually kind of a shock to some of us because we thought that at least a team photo would be allowed for the guy, although he's been frozen out of the team, and there are swirling rumors that Sancho would actually be allowed to leave in the January transfer market. But it looks like the sort of contention that the player has with the manager has taken things a bit too much to the high side, and it's unfortunate that Jadon Sancho has allowed the situation to escalate to this point. Remember, all he has to do is to apologize. The manager has told the player that he has to apologize for practically calling him a liar on social media, but Jadon Sancho has remained adamant that he's not going to apologize, and unfortunately for him, the club has put him on transfer. That is the news coming in that Jadon Sancho is now being put on the transfer list. There are rumors that Borussia Dortmund, his former club, are actually trying to sign him, but probably it's going to be a loan move, and then they will kind of see if they can make a permanent deal later on in the summer, or maybe invite some clubs to come in and sign the player. But as things go now, the fact that Jadon Sancho has been excluded from the team photo for the season means that he's no longer officially a player of Manchester United, which is quite sad for a player who had a lot of promise, when we signed him from Dortmund in 2019 for around 73 million pounds. It's a huge loss to Manchester United. It's rather unfortunate that Ego has scooped his United career. Now let's move on. Now another story coming in is from the camp of the French striker Karim Benzema. Remember that he is now playing in Saudi Arabia for Al Hilal. Now there is currently filed a lawsuit against a French politician. The politician actually made a statement regarding a terrorist attack that it took place in France. There was a stabbing incident in France that was sort of related to anti-Semitic origins due to the current war between Israel and Hamas. You remember that the French nation has a lot of Muslim communities because of their immigration policies with North Africans who are mostly Muslim. The terrorist attack that took place is related to the current situation in Gaza, and a French politician mentioned Karim Benzema's name in a statement he was making in relation to the terrorist attack by saying that Karim Benzema has links to the Muslim Brotherhood, which is considered a terrorist organization by a lot of nations in Western Europe and in North America. The Muslim Brotherhood arose from Egypt in somewhere in the early 80s as a result of this usual dogfights between the Israeli Defense Force and Hamas terrorists in the Middle East, in Gaza. So, I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood rose as a sort of an answer to provide sort of an alternative government to the nationalist government in Egypt. So, currently, Karim Benzema is filing a lawsuit against the French politician for linking him to the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know if Karim Benzema himself thinks that the Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization, but he feels like he's been linked to a terrorist group that he doesn't want to be associated with, and so he's filing a lawsuit. Now let's see what happens with that, and if there are links to Karim Benzema and the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't think from the Muslim perspective that a lot of them will see it as a problem, but from the perspective of the French government and a lot of nations in Northern Europe, in Western Europe and in North America, the Muslim Brotherhood is labeled as a terrorist organization, and probably the reason why Karim Benzema feels the need to, file a lawsuit to dissociate himself completely from the Muslim Brotherhood. The third story I have for you today is from the camp of Chelsea. Ian Matson, remember the Dutch youngster left back who can play also forward as a right winger, the left winger, sorry. And he has a contract a standing contract with Chelsea that ends in 2025. Now he has extended the contract by a 1 year. A 1 year extension has been triggered in the contract he signed with Chelsea. Chelsea have triggered that 1 year extension. They have the right to have triggered the 1 year extension in the contract of Ian Matson, which then will take him to 2026, and it will give Chelsea ample time to try and convince the player to actually renew his contract on a long-term basis. Also, at the camp of Barcelona, the news coming in is that they are currently working with Deco. Remember, Deco is in charge of the sporting director in charge of transfers, and they are negotiating. They're trying to find ways of completing permanent deals for João Cancelo and João Felix. You remember that João Cancelo and João Felix came in on loan at the tail end of the transfer window in the summer. Deadline day deals for both Cancelo guys from the Portuguese national team. They came in at the time when Barcelona are kind of struggling financially, and they are still undergoing a sort of difficult financial spell, but they are trying their best to kind of maneuver their way around to see how they can make those deals permanent. Now, Atletico Madrid would definitely demand a region somewhere around 80 million euros for João Felix, partly because he was bought from Benfica for around 120 million euros. Now, Atletico Madrid will look to recoup much of that transfer money. And the fact that, he's a fine vein of form at the Camp Nou, I mean, he started really well. So it's kind of going to add to his transfer value. So Barca are trying to negotiate somewhere around 80 million euros. I don't know how they are going to pay that, but it looks like they're going to spread that money for over a couple of years, just like they've done with the Rafinha deal. So João Cancelo also might command somewhere around 35 to 40 million euros from Manchester City. So it remains to be seen how Barca will be able to pay for these monies considering their financial situation. But they have instructed Deco to find ways around paying and for those players and making them permanent squad members of Barcelona. Also at the camp of Barcelona, they remember that their kit sponsor is Spotify, the music streaming platform Spotify. Now Spotify is using Barcelona kit as a form of advertisement to bring about the launching of the Rolling Stones album. Those of you who are not familiar with Rolling Stones, they are a rock band. They are a rock band, a very famous rock band, and they are known across the globe, across various cultures by people who are interested in pop music. And so the Rolling Stones are going to launch their new album. I think a new album that they are launching titled Diamond, and this the image of the Rolling Stones, which is kind of a tank sticking out. Okay, the tank sticking out is going to be the logo of the Rolling Stones. Actually, is going to be on top or in front of the Barcelona kit in the game against Real Madrid in the coming Clásico. So, Rolling Stones album being launched on the kits of Barcelona in the coming Classico. That's kind of a genius marketing move there by Spotify. Remember, this is not the first time Spotify have used Barca kits as a form of launching an album by a music artist. They've used Drake, and I think also one Latin American musician has also been used. So it's all good for the Rolling Stones and Spotify, and I'm sure that Barcelona are definitely going to get some financial benefit from the launching of this album by Rolling Stones. Also, another political dimension to the football that we are watching, with the Hamas and Israeli conflict happening in the Middle East. A lot of politics is now, getting into football, and a lot of the Muslim footballers are trying to be political and use their platform and their image to, project Hamas out there. Now, doing all these things is well and good. I have no problem with a player expressing his political views, because players are human beings who have thoughts and they have likes and dislikes. But I think that as a footballer, representing a club in a certain nation, and when you are representing a club in Western Europe, you must be very careful the kind of sentiments you make on Instagram or social media concerning political activities. Now, a player that has found himself in trouble is Nazer Mazraoui. Remember, Mazraoui came in from Ajax, I think 2 years ago, as a free agent. He's a right back. He can also play as a left back in Moroccan international. He expressed his sentiments on the current Israel-Hamas war, and he has come under fire but from Bayern Munich, his employers. Bayern Munich are a German club. The Germans, with their own history of anti-Semitism during the Second World War, have kind of revolutionized their society to be very loving to Jewish communities, and so they found it very inflaming. They thought that it was very an impassioned post that Mazraoui made was fined. Is currently fined. He was a financial fine, but he's currently injured, and so he hasn't trained for a week now. He came back from international duty injured, and so he's not going to be in contention this weekend. But Mazraoui and Bayern Munich have actually discussed the issues, and he has assured the club that he's not going to make any of such inflamed post about about Israel on his Instagram. I think that for me, players are free to express their views about politics, but they have to be a sort of constructive analysis, constructive criticism of Israel. If you feel like Israel must be criticized in the way they are handling the stuff that is happening in Gaza right now. And for now, I think that Bayern Munich have dealt best with the situation, the way they actually sort of had a sitting with the player to kind of let him understand that you play for a German club, and Germans have a history with the Jewish community that they want to preserve, a history post World War II, a history of understanding, a history of love, and an extension of feelings of reception, warm receptions towards the Jewish community, and so they want to keep it that way. And so they don't want a player playing for Bayern Munich, one of the biggest clubs in Germany, to be attacking Israel on social media. So the understanding has been made, and Mazraoui has apologized to the Jewish community, and he has stated that he definitely does not support the terrorist attacks that happened against Israel by Hamas. So I think we can move on from minds. Also, at the camp of Neymar, unfortunately, we had some very unfortunate scenes at in Brazil when Brazil played against Uruguay. I think that game was played away in the Uruguayan capital. And Neymar sustained another devastating injury, another ACL, anterior cruciate ligament, and an injury to his meniscus. And that is going to keep him away from the rest of the season. Remember, Neymar got injured, the same ACL, the same injury, the same location. He had 4 months, he was out for several months, and then he came back after, I think, about 7-8 months. And he did a sort of recovery for another 4 months, and then he came back. Just been playing in I think just 2 months, and then he's just injured himself again. So you could see from his physical expression after the injury that he was very distraught. He was almost crying, if not even he was really crying after the injury, and he has urged his family and friends to support him. Right now, he feels that this injury is too recurrent. Remember that this injury has scooped his chances of ever winning the Balon d'Or, because anytime that he gets to the business end of the season, he seems to find himself injured. He's appealing to family and friends to help him this time, because he feels that emotionally he's really down, and he needs his family and friends around him to support him and to help him to overcome the struggles concerning this injury. Now, it's going to be very difficult for him, but we hope for the best for Neymar. Now, another player that I want to talk about is Jude Bellingham. He's been on a fine vein of form ever since he signed for Real Madrid. Now, he has come out after the game against England, against Italy. I mean, the game Italy against England at the I think Wembley. England qualified for the Euro 2024. And after the game, Bellingham said in the press conference that joining Real Madrid has taken his game to another level. Now you can see that he says that Real Madrid is one of the biggest club in the world, if not the biggest club in the world. And he says that when you walk into the club, you really understand. It hits you that you understand the sort of the enormous, the gigantic nature of Real Madrid. And he said in the statement that joining Real Madrid has kind of raised his level, taking his game to another level, and it shows. He's been man of the match in several games. He's built Real Madrid out of several very difficult games. He says that the players around him, world-class players, Toni Kroos, we have Luka Modric and all these guys, all helping him to, get his game on. And he's been on excellent form, one of the best players this season so far. And if he continues like this, and it means that he's likely to, be nominated for the Balon d'Or, definitely. Even if Real Madrid don't win the Champions League, the form that Bellingham is on right now, he's definitely going to be a nominee for the Balon d'Or if he continues playing this way. We hope that injuries don't get in and that the player actually keeps going the way he's going. He scored a goal against Italy in the game. And he's currently, getting ready to play in the weekend. Real Madrid have a game at the weekend. So, I mean, it's all good for Jude Bellingham and his career. Mind you, his kid brother is also being monitored by Real Madrid, playing currently for Sunderland. So, I mean, football runs in the family for the Bellingham family. So, let's see how far the career of Jude Bellingham will go at Real Madrid. But so far, I mean, he's been fantastic. He's been super fantastic, and it's all going well for him. And then also, I would like to talk about Calvin Phillips. Manchester City bought Calvin Phillips from Leeds United about 3 years ago. Ever since he made that move, he's not really had a fair share of game time. Mainly because, I mean, the competition at Manchester City in that position is very tough. Fernandinho was there, and then now Rodri Cascante is now playing in that holding midfield role, the same role that Calvin Phillips kind of is being brought into to play now. He also got a shocking call up to the national team. I mean, Gareth Southgate has this very weird call up tradition of calling players that he's familiar with. I mean, he doesn't call players based on current form. He calls players that he's known and he's familiar with and he trusts. Basically, the reason why Harry Maguire is always playing for the English national team now. He called Calvin Phillips into the national team, although the player has not played a lot of games at all. And Calvin Phillips justified the call-up by scoring a goal against Italy. Now, he was interviewed after the game, and he said that he's finally going to have to move out of Man City if he wants to play in the Euro 2024 tournament, which is going to go on in Germany. And he has given a notice to clubs across the globe, especially in England, that he's willing to make a move, and probably he's going to look at the January market and see if he can make that move out of Man City to get the much needed game time so that he will be in contention for a call-up to the Euro 2024. Also, I think another milestone that CR7 Cristiano Ronaldo has chugged is in this, on I think it was on Wednesday evening when he played a game against Slovakia in Lisbon, that he played his 200th game for the national team. Massive, massive achievement. I mean, Ronaldo started playing for Portugal national team since he was, I think, 18 years of age. His first tournament was in the Euro 2004. I think Euro 2004, which was hosted by Portugal itself. It was a huge tournament. It launched him into the global scene after signing for Manchester United. So, I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo made his 200th appearance for the national team. Mind you, he has the record for the most international goals, also the record for the most goals scored this year. He has one more goal than Erling Haaland. So, I mean, the guy keeps going. He's 38 years old, I think 37 years old, and he keeps going. So, let's see how far Ronaldo can go. He has said that he wants to retire after 40. So, probably he wants to play another World Cup. He's still scoring for the national team, so there's no reason why we should think that he cannot play to the World Cup. So that is the plan for him, I think, and this project. And so let's see how it goes for him. But all congratulations to Cristiano Ronaldo for such a massive, massive performance. I mean, that makes him the only player to have scored 40 plus goals every year since 2010. You know, it's massive numbers, insane numbers that, you know, I don't think anyone in football would actually rival this kind of achievement that he's struck for himself. Now, another hot story running right now in England and in Italy as well is the betting scandal that has hit Italy. Italian players involved in betting scandals now. The most famous name mentioned thus far is Sandro Tonali of Newcastle. You remember he just signed for Newcastle this summer in a very expensive deal worth around 70 million euros from AC Milan. Now, it is known that there are players who are, you know, have been betting, you know, against themselves or against their own teams in these betting deals that are going on. And you know, it is unprofessional for a player to be engaged in football betting. I think sometimes even illegal against the sporting rules for footballers to be involved in betting. Now, Sandro Tonali was found to have bet against AC Milan. Remember when he was playing for AC Milan, he bet against AC Milan. If you're a player and you are betting against your own team, how is that, you know, going to affect your performance? So Tonali has come out to say that yes, indeed, it is true. He's suffering from he has this addiction, betting addiction that he's dealing with. He's currently in talks with psychologists helping him to deal with the situation. But there are punishments that are coming. Aside Sandro Tonali, another player from Juventus, Figuli has also been mentioned, and he's actually been banned by the Italian Football Association for 7 months. Now, it is thought that Sandro Tonali, the fact that he betted against AC Milan in some of these betting schemes that he engaged in, means that he is likely to face more than 7 months out of the game. But currently, this case is still under investigation, so there are no bans yet for Tonali. And Newcastle, came out with a statement just this morning concerning the Tonali situation by saying that Tonali is currently still being considered as part of the team. There's no punitive measures from Newcastle for Tonali. Eddie Howe, the manager, has said that he's going to consider only the sporting reasons, and that Tonali is a very important player for the team, and so he's currently in contention to play this weekend. And if he's trained with the Newcastle team since returning from international duty, and so Sandro Tonali is going to probably play this weekend, but there are punishments that are going to come from Italy, and if that is affected, then FIFA would have no choice but to also put their authoritative punishment behind what the IFA are going to say, and then that means that Tonali will be out for more than a year for betting against his own team, AC Milan. And so currently that is the situation that Newcastle right now are thinking about their game this weekend, and Tonali is in contention to play, but hopefully a punishment is going to come, because we have to put a stamp on players betting against their own teams, which is very unprofessional. I would like to talk about Lionel Messi. The rumors are that Lionel Messi is poised to win his 8th Balon d'Or trophy this year. Mind you, the Balon d'Or has separated itself from the FIFA Men's Award, Men's FIFA Best Player Award. So, I mean, the Balon d'Or kind of runs late into much older, one of the oldest individual awards in Europe. Was started, I think, somewhere in the 50s. And the rumors are that Lionel Messi is going to win his 8th Ballon d'Or, which is going to be a record. And that is something that's going to be unsurpassed. It's going to be a record. And Lionel Messi has had a fantastic year in the national team. Now, the rumors of Messi winning an 8th Ballon d'Or is not really quite surprising. A lot of people were touting him to win it after winning the World Cup with Argentina. He's had a very bad club season career there, this season. But in the national team, for Argentina, he's been fantastic for the Celeste. They won the World Cup. Prior to that, they won the I think the Copa America, and they've been on, I think, 50 games unbeaten. They've played 50 games unbeaten. I mean, if you look at the games, I mean, there are a lot of friendlies, but if you play CONMEBOL games are not easy to play. I mean, CONMEBOL games are very difficult physical games. So, I mean, Argentina have earned their right to be number one in the world. They are currently number one, the best team, national team in the world, the top ranked team in the world, with 50 games unbeaten. And the goalkeeper himself, the Aston Villa goalkeeper, Emiliano Martinez, is also, I think, has a clean sheet record in the national team. So Argentina are doing so well, and Messi has catapulted the team to new heights. So, I mean, there are those who are saying that, if you win the World Cup in a World Cup year, and you are the best player of the World Cup, then obviously you should win the Ballon d'Or. So it's pretty textbook for me that Messi will win the Ballon d'Or, except that, the kind of season he had with PSG, and the fact that he's playing in the MLS, it kind of takes a bit of a shine from the award. But in all cases, Messi deserves this award. I mean, he had a fantastic World Cup. I mean, scoring a lot of crucial goals and making very important assists. He was the face of the team, and so it's all good for him. Barcelona are also planning to extend Frankie de Jong's contract. Remember, Frankie de Jong came in from Ajax. He has always wanted to play for Barcelona. Barcelona is his dream club, and so Barca are currently exploring ways of extending his contract to somewhere around 2027. So all good for Frankie de Jong and Barcelona. I mean, he's been very important for them this season. Xavi has galvanized the guy in midfield. I mean, the way that they are playing now, Frankie de Jong is currently playing well the way that we know him to be playing in Ajax. Before, this season, he was a bit, up and down. His performance was a bit, inconsistent. But this season, he has been very consistent. The performance has been very good. So I'm sure that is the reason why Frankie de Jong is looking to stay. I mean, he's always wanted to stay, even when rumors about Manchester United were coming. I mean, he always remained adamant that he wanted to stay at Barcelona because that is his dream club. And so Barcelona, trying to tie him down to a long-term deal after massive performances that he's displayed this season. Also, another important story I want to talk about is the life of Fabio Pime. Now, Fabio Pime is a Portuguese footballer who played for Sporting Lisbon Academy. Now, he currently was interviewed by a Portuguese media outlet, and he said that Cristiano Ronaldo, at the time they were playing together at Sporting Academy, he was better than Ronaldo. And Ronaldo actually confirmed it when he was signed by Manchester United, and the British media were raving after a few games when he was excellent in the game he played. And they tried to, ramp him up and tell him that, he's one of the best talents in the world, at one of the best teenagers in the world as at the time in 2003. But he said that if you think I'm good, and according to him, that was his quote, that if you think I am good now, try and go and look at Fabio Pine. I mean, so Ronaldo confirming even at that time that Fabio Pine was better than him at the academy. Ronaldo wasn't the best player at the academy, at the Sporting Academy. Fabio Pine was supposed to have been the next Ronaldinho, but unfortunately for him, a life of partying, a life of late night partying, a life of women, a life of chasing fast cars, a life of drunkenness, derailed his career. And now he found himself an ex-convict, used to deal in drugs afterwards to kind of fund his lavish lifestyle when the footballing aspect of him started to go down. I mean, his body was not responding to the talent that he had because he was not, training well. He was sleeping late, partying, going for the alcohol rather than, stay in camp and sleep and stuff like that. So a host of unprofessional behavior stemming from the fact that he didn't have the right system around him to kind of grow affected his game. And so when I think he went on loan to Chelsea at a point in time around 2004. He was on loan at Chelsea for the Team B side, and then after that it kind of went down wayward from there. He struggled with several clubs. He became a journeyman traveling across the globe to try and play football and fund the kind of lifestyle that he was living, chasing after women and alcohol and going to all the best parties across the globe. But it had a toll effect on his form, and his body couldn't deal with the standards that was expected of him. The talent that he had went became useless to him at that point because the body was tired and he couldn't replicate his talent on the pitch. And so Fabio Pine, granting that interview and saying that Ronaldo at the time he was better than Ronaldo confirming that he was also, Fabio Pine was the best player at the academy, the Sporting Academy. But, unfortunately for him, his career, did not go the way he wanted. This shows that in football, you can have the talent, but, the hard work is the most important. And we know that nobody works hard than Cristiano Ronaldo. So I think a life lesson for all of us to take from Fabio Pine. Okay. So also I want to talk about another important updates about Neymar injury. It is said that Al Hilal bought him for around 60 million euros from PSG, and then less than a month into the sale, he got injured on international duty. Now there is a law in the FIFA rules that states that if a player gets injured on international duty, FIFA will have to pay compensation in financial terms to the club. So now it is rumored that Al Hilal can take as much as 7.5 million euros compensation from FIFA for losing Neymar on through injury on international duty. Now, so I mean, obviously Al Hilal probably might not decide to take the money from FIFA, but if they decide to take the money, they have a right by law to take the money from FIFA for the injured Neymar. It is rumored that they might actually start with an initial 1.5 million euros, and then every month the player stays injured, FIFA have to pay a certain amount of money in compensation, and then later on when the player comes back, then I think the payment will cease. So it is interesting. This law kind of a lot of the clubs will kind of be banking on this law. I don't know if any club has activated this law before, but considering how much Neymar was bought for and the kind of expenses that Al Hilal lavished on the player, it's likely that they might actually activate this clause. So let's see how that goes for Neymar and Al Hilal. And the FIFA, I think there's a committee in FIFA called the FIFA Club Protection Program. So under this program, a club is has the right to actually demand compensation in financial terms for a player who got injured on international duty. So let's see how this goes. Also, another important news update is that FIFA has come up with a statement that the game that happened between Belgium and Sweden. You remember there was a game between Belgium and Sweden on Monday, this week on Monday, for the Euro 2020 as part of the Euro 2024 qualifiers, and there was a terrorist incident where two Swedish fans were gunned down, and of course the two assailants were killed by the police, but not before the violence spilled over into the stadium where the game was happening. The game ended 1-1 at halftime. Now, the captain of Sweden, Victor Lindelof, the Manchester United player, said that he doesn't want his players to come out and play the game again, considering the fact that two Swedish fans have been killed, out of respect to the two fans who were killed. And also, the captain of Belgium also, agreed with the situation, and so the captains of both teams decided that they were not going to continue with the game. Mind you, FIFA wanted to play the game, but the players that said no, they are not going to continue with the game because of the terrorist incident. So the game was postponed, but FIFA has come out to say that that game will end 1-1. There's not going to be a replay of the game. Much of the reason is because the game is inconsequential to the qualification process. The reason being that Belgium has already qualified for the Euro 2024 prior to the game, and also I think Austria, who is also in the group, has also qualified, and only two teams can qualify. So that sort of made the game moot. The results of the game was moot in terms of the qualification process. So if the game cannot determine who qualifies for the Euro 2024, then there is no need to replay the game. So that game has been abandoned at 1-1. So that is going to be the update coming in from the Belgium-Sweden game. Rather unfortunate that people had to lose their lives in such a celebratory moment. Now, also, I think in relation to the Israel-Hamas conflict, which is kind of the talking point for everyone across the globe, the Premier League board, in sight of the current players, getting involved in political statements on social media, the fans also getting on board. Remember that the Celtic fans, in the early hours of the attack on Israel by the Hamas, the militants, posted a video of the team celebrating with the Palestinian flag. So the EPL want to avoid such controversial situations coming into their league. So they have made a plea. Actually, it's a plea to the clubs that they should ban flags of Israel and Palestine from all games in the Premier League. So currently that is how things are going to be. I think a lot of the clubs agree that it is important that teams stay on course on football and be devoid of political arguments and political sentiments to keep the game safe for people, because Israel-Palestine inflames passions of people, and they don't want football to be involved in such, political engagements. And then also another important news is that Mitoma from Brighton has extended his contract to 2027. Now, he came in 2 years ago from the J League. Mitoma has been on fine form. He's been a sensation. A lot of clubs in England and in Europe are vying for his signature. And the news is that Brighton have managed to extend his contract. Brighton, they've sold some very, very important players, but they've managed to replace them with top quality. And so Mitoma, been rumors around him, definitely he's going to be in the transfer market in the summer. Teams are going to try to sign him. Now with Brighton, extending his contract, it means that they are in a strong position to demand more than 100 million euros for Mitoma. So let's see how that goes. Good move by Brighton. They always find ways of cementing their top talents and making sure that when the time comes for them to move, they get the big bucks. So all good for Mitoma and Brighton right there. Also, I want to talk about very fast. My last stories for today will be the fact that we want to the transfer market. I think the transfer market media group have come out with sort of updates about players who have decreased in transfer value. Okay, so I think Sadio Mane moving to his shocking move to the Saudi League. A lot of us were really shocked that Bayern Munich were willing to allow Sadio Mane to leave. Of course, he had a very bad season in his first season, but many of us thought that he was going to recover. But unfortunately, they sold him to the Saudi League, Al Nassr, in the Saudi League, and that has affected his transfer fee. He has had a massive drop in his in his transfer fee because of this current injury, the form that he ended the season with Bayern, and the fact that he's now playing in the Saudi league. So he's kind of topping the list of players who have massively decreased in transfer value over the last couple of years. Now, another person on the list is Jadon Sancho. Remember, he's had a very up and down form ever since he signed for Manchester United from Dortmund, and this season he's not played at all. He had a fine preseason. Unfortunately, he had a problem with his manager, and then now he's been frozen out of the team. And so, I mean, his transfer value has drastically decreased, and it's I mean, it shows. The sort of transfer policy that Manchester United are currently on running. They sign players very expensive and sell them, for cheap money, and it's kind of very disappointing how the Sancho situation has been handled. But for me, I think that Manchester United, their hands are tied in this situation, and it's one of those players that we kind of have to say that it was a flop, and the money has been spent for nothing. Also on the list is Marco Cucurella. Remember, Marco Cucurella coming in from Brighton for 53 million euros for Chelsea. Now, but he's not money to cement a starting place at Chelsea. Manu Ben Chilwell is currently playing in that position, and also they have Ian Matson in that position. And so Cucurella finds himself in a very difficult spot to try and look away from the team. Mind you, over the summer he was connected to Manchester United. A loan move to Manchester United collapsed because Chelsea were demanding a lot of money for the loan move. So Cucurella is trying to find a way of getting a move away from Chelsea if he has a chance to be part of the Euro team, for the Spain team in the Euro next year. So but that has affected his transfer value, and so Cucurella, 53 million pounds, has fallen drastically over the year. And I think also another thing that they did was to also evaluate the players who have increased in value, okay, because of their performance that they've put up over the last year. And some of the players on top of the list is the Duncan Ferguson of Brighton, the young striker, the teenager. Actually, his transfer value has really increased because of the form he's been on, and the fact that Brighton are doing well this season. They started so well, and so I mean, it's not a surprise to see Ferguson topping the list. And also Caicedo making his move to Chelsea. He had a few difficult games, but I mean, his price was always going to rise because of the fact that Chelsea are a young team, and I mean, they started improving right now. They are playing so well. They ended the international before the international break. Their last game, they were so fantastic against Fulham. So Caicedo increasing in value is actually quite not surprising at all. Players on the list, I think Rasmus Højlund is also on the list, signing from Atlanta. He's coming in. Manchester United are having a very difficult spell, but he's been the only bright spot in a very dark start to the season for Manchester United. So it's not surprising to see Højlund on the list. And also Xavi Simons playing for Red Bull Salzburg, RB Leipzig, on loan from PSG. Mind you, he was playing for PSG, and they sold him to PSV Eindhoven. He had a fantastic year, and then PSG put in a clause that means that they can sign him for, I think, somewhere around 8 million euros, which they activated. They signed him for 8 million euros, and they took him on loan to RB Leipzig, and so that is where he's playing now, and he's been fantastic. He's playing so well, and he's currently been a name on the list of a lot of clubs in Europe. So I mean, Xavi Simons on the list is not a surprise at all. A lot of familiar names on that list, so it's all good. Let's see how everything pans out. So that will be my last story for today. I'm grateful for staying with me and listening to my stories. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel Pious Football. I'll bring you more stories. The weekend, exciting games are coming up this weekend, and so expect to have a very informative episode tomorrow after the games, and then we'll talk about important analysis of games that happened over the weekend. So thank you for staying with me, and have a nice day. Bye.